Hey, what's going on, everybody? Black Experience in the building. Chapter 5, Week 5. Bryce Amir Hardy, DLC number 432675. And we open that subscribe button, we open that like button, we open the comments, share it, let your people know, let your grandma know, let your sister know, let your auntie, let your brother, let your cousin. Everybody needs to know what type of time we on. So, revolutionary icons is the big week just because a lot of people don't really understand the in-depth of what was going on around the time of the civil rights movement. There was a lot of brothers that was putting in work. There was a lot of sisters that was putting in work. So if I forget anybody, if I didn't include anybody into this curriculum, feel free to roast me. The definition of revolution is a fundamental change in a political organization, especially the overthrow or renunciation of one government or ruler and the substitution of another by the governed. What does that really mean? What does that say? That means a revolution that takes place causes one form of government to be overthrown and another one to take over. So the American Revolution, something like that, real simple revolution. It doesn't really have to be violent. It could be a political revolution. It could be an artistic revolution. A lot of different type of things. Revolutionary constitutes or brings about a major change or fundamental change. And an icon is an object of critical devotion. And we're not looking at these brothers and sisters as if they were God or anything like that, but they are worth their praise and they are worth idolizing and looking up to because of the changes and the movements that they're able to put together and establish. Today we wouldn't be able to have these conversations. Marcus Garvey was one of them. He was the founder of the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Marcus Garvey was able to bring us as a people together, Black Americans, and rally us. He came up with the term Africa for the Africans. He was able to purchase a whole boat line called the Black Star Line, which was taking brothers and sisters from New York to the shores of Africa. The feds indicted him for mail fraud. He was sent to prison for 5 years, and after he got out, he was deported back to Jamaica. Without his movement, we wouldn't have the term Black is Beautiful, and he was the foundation for a lot of Black liberation movements in America to this day. The Montgomery boycott riot, bus boycott, was something spectacular. It was really one of those moments in time where money, which is black money, was taken out of the white economy, and the white Americans really felt that hit. And Martin Luther King really orchestrated this behind the scenes, and he was the front runner of it. So a lot of people associate Martin Luther King with the civil rights movement and everything like that. But what he really did, what was really important, was this Montgomery boycott riot. There was a Supreme Court decision on this issue. Montgomery was up in a state of discord with the bus line and everything like that. The brothers and sisters decided to stop using public transportation for about a year. This took place from 1955 to 1956. And in the beginning of March of 1956, Montgomery boycott actually hit so far home that the bus line declared that it would no longer enforce segregation. The city of Montgomery decided to sue the bus system. The bus system said, hey, look, we lost over $1 million in profit. 65% of our income is gone. The Supreme Court made a decision later on in December and said segregation on buses is illegal. Now, Malcolm X, this is a whole different story because Malcolm X was something of spectacularness. This brother was in the field, in the streets, around everyone, doing his own thing, doing his Dougie. Detroit Red, they used to call him. He grew up in Detroit, was very prosperous in the street life of New York. He got around a lot of street members and was into pimping and robberies and things like that. He got sentenced to prison time in Michigan State prison system. He found Islam when he got there, and he found the Nation of Islam. Was a follower of Elijah Muhammad. A lot of brothers are familiar with Malcolm X. They call him the Prince because he is from the people, for the people, and he is by the people. You know, he did not enforce a negative connotation upon us. He was actually trying to break those chains that were forced upon us as a people. Malcolm X disapproved of all illegal activities, liquor, drugs, things like that, and he created his own organization called the OAAU, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. He became supremely disciplined, and he was just that guy, man. Like, when you talk about civil rights, you can't talk about civil rights without talking about Malcolm X. Noble Drew Ali, another brother inspired by Marcus Garvey, he put together a similar organization. He called it the Moorish Temple of Science in America, which connected Black Americans back to Africa through Islam. It was through a religious, so he was invoking ecclesiastical law, which was basically embedded in the Peace Treaty of Friendship in 1976 that was signed by George Washington, declaring that America is and was a territory of the Morocco Empire, and at the time they didn't have enough money to pay Morocco for colonizing the land, so they decided to make a treaty. Now, the media is one of the most powerful mediums in the world, and it's crazy how it's used today, because every other day when I watch TV and I don't watch TV, or I hear the news, it's always a brother doing something wrong, scandal, a sister doing something wrong, scandal, everybody's being arrested, we're being prosecuted, we're doing something wrong every day. And what's not focused on is the positivity that goes on in the black community. 9 out of 10 young black men are not in gangs and do not use drugs nor commit crimes. Reporters really cover the negativity in the black community, while in the white communities they cover the positivity. There are so many young blacks that are accomplishing positive achievements that aren't publicized. And one of the reasons being is because the reporters who highlight the positive effects amongst black people do not get enough praise. Yeah, they're really underappreciated. Black people, us as a whole, we have the economic power to pressure media outlets to depict what we want them to depict, because we spend over $300 billion annually on goods and services. I mean, a good example is the conservatives and the Christians actually use these media outlets to portray what they want to be portrayed on TV, and that's known. We all know about Fox News and all that propaganda that they be spilling. Emmett Till is one of the big key figures in the 60s, you know, in that movement of civil rights, because that was one of the first times when this lynching, this KKK violence, black on white crime was actually publicized for the world to see. Emmett Till, you know, dies every day. A young black person is killed unarmed, and we kill him every day. We kill each other as well. You know, he was 14 at the time of his death. He died in Mississippi, and he was from Chicago. One of the craziest parts of the story that a lot of people don't understand is that his uncle actually had a shotgun in the house when these KKK members came into the house and told him that they were looking for his nephew, and instead of defending himself, he gave his nephew up. And we know the rest. Huey P. Newton was a co-founder of the Black Panther Party. You know, he grew up in Louisiana, then moved to Oakland, California, and he wanted to teach blacks about self-defense and their rights. He organized a lot of group activities in the community, because the other organizations that were involving brothers did not want to involve people from the street because of the backlash from the media, the community, and the police. Huey P. Newton was arrested on a murder charge. He was alleged to have killed an officer in a shooting. He went to trial. He was convicted of manslaughter. It was overturned on appeal. He went to trial again. It was a hung jury. And, the rest is history, pretty much. Huey P. Newton established carrying weapons and things of that nature. We won't stand for the police brutality, the same stuff that was going on down south. They weren't going to stand for it in the west coast of California. He believed in dying for something that meant something, not reactionary suicide, which is, well, the police are messing with me. I'm going to grab a bomb, strap it to my chest, and run out and scream, Allah, Allah Akbar, and blow up on a cop car. No offense to the Muslims. I am Muslim myself, but that's not how we solve problems. Instead, he decided to defend himself a smart way and cause a reactionary suicide, which is, if you're going to kill me, I'm going to die on my terms, not yours. And that's for a revolution to take place, as we discussed earlier. Sacrifice is necessary. And he coined that term, revolutionary suicide. I recommend that book to everyone that gets a chance to read it. Fred Hampton was the founder of the Black Panther Party in Chicago. He was actually assassinated by the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover actually sent some people into the organization of Black Panther Party. It was an informant. Found out where he lived. He was out on appeal bond for a robbery case he was convicted of. He was killed while he was asleep in his bed, while his kid's mother was sitting right next to him. And it's crazy because it's all documented. There's a book called The Assassination of Fred Hampton. I recommend that if you guys want to look more into it. The FBI, the federal government, actually paid Fred Hampton's mother $1 million for the plot and assassination of Fred Hampton. He was so dangerous to America, as they like to call it, because he was able to not just instill togetherness amongst black people, but Hispanics and whites. He was able to bring everyone's agenda to one agenda, and the FBI didn't like that. J. Edgar Hoover, that's another guy that was really the nemesis of the time, the big enemy, who declared black people as public enemy number one. He wanted a lot of us to be locked up or killed because he believed that black messiahs, quote unquote, were causing a lot of conflict within the United States. They were causing fear amongst white people. They thought there was going to be some type of uproar. So he decided, to kill all of our leaders. And that'll take us into the next chapter pretty much. The lasting effects, the leaders were stripped from the black community. The United States used force to remove black messiahs from the world of the living. And without leadership, the race is unable to move forward. Constant stagnation causes control on the growth of the black race, and leaders at that time were starting to understand America is against black people leaving the struggle. They wanted to keep us at this bottom mark while they go up. Revolutionary action was sampled as a solution to the economic, political contradictions in the United States. And the bibliography that I have for you guys this week is The Assassination of the Black Male Image by Earl Awful Hutchinson, Ph.D., Voices of Freedom, Henry Hampton and Steve Thayer, and the last book, Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, Volume 1 and 2, written by Marcus Garvey himself and his wife, Amy Jaquez Garvey. And I appreciate your guys' time. Bryce Amir Hardy signing out. We'll see you guys next week.